Welcome to the deep dive. So, you've brought us some really interesting source material today, excerpts from Advanced IQ Tests by Philip Carter.
That's right.
And this looks like more than just, a standard puzzle book. It seems to be positioned as something that pushes cognitive limits further.
Exactly. The material really presents this as a step beyond typical IQ practice, focusing on skills needed for, well, more complex problem solving.
Okay, great. Let's dig into this then. For this deep dive, our mission is to figure out what makes these particular tests advanced. Who are they actually for, according to the author? And this claim that tackling them can improve cognitive abilities, that's fascinating. Can you really train your brain this way?
It's a really central question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the book, or the source material about it, suggests it's not just practice, but practice aimed at developing specific things like lateral thinking, complex analysis,
Hmm.
skills for tougher challenges.
Right. So maybe start with the author. Who is Philip Carter and what's actually in the book based on what we have?
Well, Philip Carter is described as quite the expert in IQ tests. A veteran, apparently, with something like over 60 books published on testing, puzzles, reasoning, that sort of thing.
60. Okay, so he knows his stuff.
Seems so. And this book, Advanced IQ Tests, it's pretty hefty. It offers 360 practice questions, broken down into 12 separate tests.
And these aren't just any questions, they're labeled advanced. The source material says they target specific skills. What are those?
Yeah, it lists them out. There's numerical aptitude, basically how quick you are with numbers, sequences, mental math. Then verbal aptitude, understanding complex language, vocabulary, word relationships.
Okay.
Spatial ability is a big one, manipulating shapes in your head.
Yeah.
Logical analysis, finding patterns, drawing conclusions. And then interestingly, lateral thinking, that's the creative, out-of-the-box problem solving, plus just general high-level problem solving.
That's quite a spectrum of skills. So who does the author think should be using this? Who's the intended audience?
The material points to a few groups. Firstly, just anyone who enjoys a real mental workout and wants to push past standard tests.
The challenge seekers.
Exactly. But also, very practically, it mentions people prepping for graduate or managerial selection tests. Those often include tough psychometric components.
Ah, okay. So job applications at a higher level.
Right. And professionals may be looking for a new job or aiming for promotion internally, where these tests are used. And finally, it just says anyone curious enough to pit their skills against some of the toughest questions available.
I like that phrasing. Makes it sound like a contest against the test itself.
Yeah.
The material also mentions some practical details. Each test is 30 questions, 120 minutes. That's 4 minutes per question, roughly.
And a crucial point for the numerical questions, no calculators.
Right. So it really tests your mental arithmetic, not just your ability to plug numbers into a machine.
Now, this leads to something the source highlights, which is, well, almost paradoxical.
Oh.
It brings up the generally accepted view in psychology that a person's actual inherent IQ level is thought to be pretty much stable after about age 18. It doesn't really change much in adulthood.
Okay, right. I've heard that. But the book claims practicing improves performance on IQ tests. How does that square up? If your underlying IQ is fixed, how can you get better at the test that measures it?
That's the core question, isn't it? The explanation offered in the material is that the improvement isn't about boosting your fundamental fixed intelligence. It's about becoming more efficient and skilled at the task of taking these specific kinds of tests
How so?
through things like getting familiar with the different question formats, learning
Yeah.
to recognize recurring patterns or types of logic, just sheer practice, getting your brain sort of in the zone for these specific challenges.
Ah, okay. So it's less about increasing your raw processing power and more about optimizing how you use what you've got for these particular tasks.
Precisely. The source uses an analogy comparing it to athletes.
Right, you mentioned that they don't fundamentally change their body type, but training makes them perform vastly better.
Exactly that. And the material makes another specific claim. If you practice with these advanced questions, it should automatically help improve your performance on standard level IQ tests too.
Now, that's a really practical point for anyone listening. So the takeaway here, according to the source, is that if you need to prepare for any kind of timed ability test, maybe for a job or grad school, using tougher, more advanced practice material like this could be a smart strategy to lift your score across the board.
Yes, that's the implication. And placing this in context, the source material also talks about where IQ tests sit in the the broader landscape of what's called psychometric testing.
Psychometric testing, what does that term cover?
The book defines it quite simply: tools used for measuring the mind. It explains that employers often use two main types together. First, you have aptitude tests. These are also called cognitive tests, ability tests, or intelligence tests. They're designed to assess your potential, how quickly you learn and process information, usually under time pressure. The tests in this book fall squarely into that category.
Right. Ability and speed. What's the second type?
The second type is personality questionnaires. Those aim to assess, well, your character, your typical ways of behaving, your personality traits.
Okay, so aptitude is like, can you do the job? And personality is more, how would you fit in and behave?
Why do employers use these, according to the book?
The main reason given is pretty straightforward: cost effectiveness. It's about trying to get the right person into the right job from the get-go.
Because hiring mistakes are expensive.
Exactly. The source mentions the high costs involved: recruitment, interviewing, onboarding, training, potential loss of productivity if it's a bad fit. So using psychometric tests is presented as a way to make more informed hiring decisions and reduce that financial risk. Makes perfect business sense. Put the effort in upfront to avoid bigger problems later. But it's also good that the material acknowledges these tests aren't everything, right? It doesn't claim IQ is the only thing that matters.
Oh, absolutely not. The source is quite clear on that. It explicitly states that other factors are crucial for success in life. Things like artistic talent, creativity, practical skills.
And personal qualities too?
Yes, things like ambition, emotional intelligence, temperament, drive. The book basically says, look, these tests measure specific cognitive abilities, verbal, numerical, spatial, logical reasoning, but that's only one part of the whole picture of human potential and what leads to outstanding success.
That's an important balance. Now, you mentioned the tests in this book aren't standardized to give an official IQ score.
Correct. They aren't normed against a population like, say, the Ways or Stanford Binet.
So what's the value then, if you don't get a number at the end?
The value, according to the source, lies in performance assessment. The book provides scoring guides at the end of each test and also a way to track your performance overall across all the tests.
Okay, so you get feedback. How does that help?
Well, this feedback lets you see where your personal strengths and weaknesses lie across those different skill areas we talked about: numerical, verbal, spatial, logic, etc.
Ah, I see. So you can figure out, I'm good with numbers, but struggle with the spatial stuff, or vice versa.
Exactly. Knowing what you're naturally good at helps you build on it. And, maybe more importantly, knowing where you're weaker allows you to focus your practice and effort on improving those specific areas. It's really about building self-awareness through tackling these challenges.
Okay, let's try and make this a bit more concrete. Can we look at a couple of example types of questions from the source material, just to get a feel for what makes them advanced, maybe in number sequence 1? Test 1, question 3 is mentioned: 19, 20, 21, 9, 26, 28, 32, 33, 40.
Right. So, looking at that, 19, 20, 21 looks simple, like just adding 1, but then it jumps. The answer key explains it's actually two different sequences woven together.
Two sequences. How does that work?
One sequence starts at 19 and follows the pattern. Add 2 to get 21, then add 3 to get 24, that's the first missing number, then add 4 to get 28, then add 5 to get 33, and so on. It uses the odd-numbered positions.
Okay, so 19, 21, 24, 28, 33. And the other sequence?
That one starts at 20 in the second position. It follows a pattern of adding increasing even numbers. Add 2 to get 22, the second missing number, then add 4 to get 26, then add 6 to get 32, then add 8 to get 40. It uses the even-numbered positions.
Wow, okay, so you don't just spot a pattern, you have to figure out there are two interleaved patterns with different rules. That definitely feels advanced.
It requires a deeper level of analysis than a simple sequence.
What about a verbal one? The source mentions a word swap puzzle from test 1, question 22. The sentence is long. If you are printing on glossy paper or transparencies, place a support stack or a sheet of plain media beneath the sheet, or load only one sheet at a time. You need to move 4 words.
Yeah, this tests your grasp of logic and syntax within a sentence. You have to read it and realize some words just don't make sense where they are, even if the grammar seems okay superficially.
So what needs swapping?
According to the answer key, media and paper need to swap places, and stack and sheet need to swap places.
Let's see. If you're printing on glossy media, place a support sheet beneath the stack,
Wow.
or a sheet of plain paper.
Ah, okay, that flows much better logically. Printing on media, support sheet beneath the stack of notes.
Exactly. It forces you to think about the meaning and the relationships between the words in context.
And the source mentions other types too, right? Like analogies. Yes, analogies where you have to deduce the relationship.
Hmm.
The example given is cat is to parade, as sleep is to somnambulate. The underlying link being cats walk in a parade, sleepwalkers walk.
Clever. And spatial puzzles, logical diagrams.
All sorts. The idea seems to be to hit different cognitive functions from multiple angles.
Okay, so we've really covered some ground here based on this source material about Philip Carter's advanced IQ tests. We've looked at what advanced seems to mean in this context, the types of skills tested.
Right, and who might use these tests and why, particularly in, say, job selection.
We also dug into that really interesting point about practice improving test performance, even if underlying adult IQ is considered stable, the whole skill versus capacity idea.
And we touch on a few specific examples just to get a flavor of the question types.
So wrapping up, the main takeaway from the source seems to be that the real value isn't necessarily getting some official IQ score from this particular book, but more about the process.
Right. Exactly. It's presented as being about challenging yourself across these different cognitive domains, getting that specific feedback, and understanding your own mental landscape better, your strengths, your weaknesses. That insight seemed to be the key benefit highlighted.
Which is valuable in itself, regardless of tests. So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe chew on based on what we've discussed from the source. If dedicated practice with these tough mental exercises can demonstrably improve your performance and, as the book puts it, allow you to take on greater mental tasks. But the prevailing view is that your fundamental adult IQ score doesn't really budge. What does that imply about the difference between our inherent cognitive machinery and the trainable skills we use to operate it? Where does potential end and practice begin?
A fascinating question indeed.
Something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.